your job is not your purpose. Your job is a job. Hi there, my name is Colin. I'm 28 years old, and I don't really know what I want to do with my life.
This is a life, kid. A real one. Doing something that matters, something that makes sense.
When I was in high school, I got good grades, but there was never one specific subject that I excelled at in particular. The only thing I looked forward to in high school was getting out of there. So yeah, I went into college undecided, and I waited until the last minute to choose my major.
The only thing that makes sense is this: learning, thoughts, so I can think and get a student loan and grind my own coffee and understand HBO.
You don't have to do that, kid. You're special.
So, hated my first job out of college, quit that job, and I ended up trying a lot of different things, from video editing to web design to UI design and podcast production. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, I am not where I thought I'd be by now. I thought I'd have a successful career, whatever that means. I thought I'd have my own spacious apartment, thriving relationships, and I realized how naive I've been about a lot of things in life. So I just thought I'd share a few lessons that I've learned in my 20s in hopes of encouraging myself, but also other people who don't have dream jobs, to feel a bit more hopeful and maybe even adopt a new mindset. The only way to get a good sense of what the job actually entails and what the work environment is like is to talk to people who work at the company or used to work for the company. That's why I think the interview process is really important, because it's also an opportunity for you to suss out whether or not the company culture might be the right fit. The truth is, there are some employers who are really good at selling their company, but they have no intention of actually cultivating their talent or listening to the perspectives of their employees. They just hire people to do things for them. And I know that sounds really cynical, but there are employers out there like that. And it's up to you to be as vigilant as possible, Look out for the red flags, do your research, do a little stalking, and don't be catfished. That's my 2 cents. Maybe you can do this as a journaling exercise. I don't know if it'll help you. Journaling's usually pretty therapeutic for me. But ask yourself, what do I want to carve out more time for in my life outside of work? Do you want to spend more time with the kids? Do you want a sense of community? And maybe the thing that you dream of isn't achievable right this moment, but we're all human beings at the end of the day. We have people to take care of, places we need to be. So it's important to think about how your job will fit into your life as opposed to the other way around. I actually enjoy working when it is something that is personally meaningful, and I can't imagine a life where I'm not working. However, I don't want work to dominate my life, and I think that's the fine line that I often struggle with. All right, lesson number 3. So I remember going to church one Sunday, and the pastor was preaching a sermon about calling and vocation. One line that really resonated with me in particular is when she said, "Your job is not your purpose, your job is a job." I've spent a huge chunk of my 20s investing so much time into work as opposed to cultivating relationships, which I think at the end of the day is more important than work. I have a habit of wrapping my identity around my jobs, and that's not a healthy relationship to have with work. So to give you an example, I started freelancing as a designer in 2018, I want to say early 2018, and towards the end of the 2-year mark, I started feeling a little out of alignment with what I was doing. At the time, I couldn't quite put my finger on why I was feeling this way, but in hindsight, I realized that I was trying to assign so much meaning to a job, when in reality, it was just that, a job. I do enjoy design, and I'm always looking to hone my skills. But I don't see design as my vocation anymore. And to be honest, these days I see it more as a way to pay the bills, doing something that I like, but it's certainly not my burning passion in life. I do think it's possible to find fulfillment in your job, but in my case, I was trying to fill a void that no job could ever fill. I've never really talked about this before, but one of my biggest fears in life is that I am not important enough. I know that sounds really self-absorbed and borderline narcissistic, which it probably is, but this is genuinely a fear that fuels part of my work addiction. I think my fear stems from the way I view myself. It's almost as though I've tried to compensate for what I saw as a lack of personality, a lack of talent, by working really hard. Because if I work really hard, then maybe I can prove myself. To who? I don't know. The danger in equating your worth to your achievements, to your level of career success, is that if you lose your job for whatever reason, or you decide to leave your job, which inevitably you will, then you're gonna feel like you've lost a part of your identity. For me, participating in this toxic pattern has led to burnout, not being able to say no when people request things from you at work, and seeking external validation from things like social media. We all have inherent value regardless of our occupations, and that's a truth that I really need to accept. But it is definitely easier said than done, especially when you live in a society that seems to champion the opposite, that you are worth however much you make or how you spend your time. Career expert Laura Sims encourages those of us who don't have one true calling to take a more purpose-led approach to career as opposed to a passion-led approach. One great feature about starting with purpose is that it immediately, from the outset, hooks you into something bigger than yourself. And if you're thinking, I don't even know what I'm passionate about, now you want me to figure out my purpose? Well, Laura actually touches on this, and she argues that there's no such thing as a capital P purpose, but it's more so about figuring out your personal sense of purpose. In her ebook, The Purpose Paradigm, Laura walks us through an exercise called the through line. And she says, think over the meaningful jobs or careers you've had. Volunteer, part-time, projects, short-lived, it's all on the table. What is at the core of why you are drawn to these things? What do you think your through lines might be? Essentially, you're listing all of the work experiences that meant something to you or was fulfilling in some way, and finding the common thread in all of those experiences. So I'll give you some examples from my own life. For the through line, I wrote down content ideation / creation, performance, collaboration, entrepreneurship, and education. Overall, I came to the vague conclusion that I like making things that inspire and entertain people. I would say that's like the general feeling that I chase whenever I decide to start a new project. So if you're like, man, I don't know, I don't even know if I have a personal sense of purpose, I feel like this exercise is a good starting point. One book that really changed the game for me was Master of One by Jordan Rayner. And I enjoyed this book so much that I have not one, but 2 copies. I've actually talked about this book in a previous video. There's so much good stuff in this book. I highly recommend it. Basically, Rayner's argument is that we should all strive to become masters of one. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, isn't that the counter argument to this entire video of not having a dream job and being okay with it? I understand those hesitations because when I first picked up this book, I remember reading the description and thinking, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not really sure how I can commit to one thing. So in the book, the author, he talks about how his one thing is entrepreneurship. Your one thing may be broad like mine or specific like Bob the piano tuners. Either is perfectly fine. so long as you are on the focused path to mastering your one thing in order to best glorify God and love your neighbors as yourself. It's true that this book is geared towards a Christian audience, but I feel like Jordan's argument still holds up, and basically what he's saying is that in doing your best work, you are serving other people and being a gift to other people. And that is the kind of attitude or mindset that he finds to be more useful than following your passion. That's not to say that passion isn't part of the equation. When you get really good at something, passion is usually the byproduct. The idea is that if you put in your 10,000 hours, you're bound to get really good at your chosen skill or craft. Naturally, you'll become more confident and as a result, become passionate about your work in the process. Let me share a quote from the book. It is only when we get insanely good at what we do that we not only fall in love with our work, but stay in love with it over a long period of time. So passion follows mastery. You aren't necessarily choosing to commit to something for the rest of your life. You are choosing the best opportunity to do the most exceptional work in this season of your life. I am going to bring up Laura one more time because she's the one who first put me onto this notion that career is not a destination. We think that if we get the dream job, then we'll be happy, then we'll be fulfilled. Laura's ebook and her writing in general made me rethink my perspective on career and to see career as not something that we achieve, but rather something that evolves with us. That's why the idea of craftsmanship isn't necessarily a sexy one, because you have to be patient and you can't expect immediate results. Because I don't think that there's like one specific job that I'm meant to be in or destined for. It's kind of like the concept of soulmates, right? I don't think you have one soulmate. I feel like you can have many potential soulmates, but it's about making that deliberate choice. Okay, I think what I'm trying to say here is that you could potentially be well suited for 50 different types of jobs, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to choose which of those jobs you're gonna commit to and which ones you're gonna say no to, because you can't do all of these things with excellence. It's just not possible. The choice is up to you, but at the end of the day, you do have to choose and then commit. I think that's what I was trying to say. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.